Kate Hoey's here. Very good morning to you, Kate. Welcome to the new world of the Mike Graham Show. Isn't it lovely? We've got a lot of herons. Our shiny new sign is being fixed behind us, so we can't see that. But before I come to you, have a look at this. This is Robert Jenrick talking yesterday about Rachel Reeves and her rather ridiculous budget statement.
So what did we learn in the Spring Statement? Well, that Rachel Reeves has been even more disastrous in managing the economy than we all thought. Growth has been downgraded again this year. Unemployment is going to reach a 10-year high. The benefits bill is going to balloon by £90 billion by 2030. And your taxes are just going to keep going up and up and up. Rachel Reeves spoke for 20 minutes, but she didn't have a single idea or policy to fix any of this. Why? Well, she's in la-la land. She actually thought that she was doing a good job, that her plan was working. Well, try telling that to the nearly 330,000 people who were in work when she took office and are now unemployed, or the millions of families and businesses that are suffocating under the weight of all her taxes. The truth is, Rachel Reeves is totally clueless. Britain is broken, and Britain needs reform.
Britain is broken and Britain needs reform. I mean, that's obviously going to be a phrase that you're going to hear a lot of over the course of the next several weeks coming up to the May elections, of course. And Thursday, May the 7th, is the big sort of local election date when Keir Starmer, everybody thinks will finally have to step down. Baroness Kate Hoey's here. Kate, very good morning to you.
Welcome to and welcome to my former constituency.
Is it? Of course it is. Yeah, Lambeth. Yes, yeah, marvellous. Did you miss it? I mean, did it brought back any memories of you walking around?
I was walking down a bit of the road there, and three people stopped me and said,
"Really?"
Oh, I said, "No, I'm not the MP anymore."
Right, brilliant. I guess the first question to ask you is, you know, with the rise of the Green Party, we saw a YouGov poll yesterday saying the Green Party is now the second, you know, choice of people in this country after reform. Labour have kind of dropped down. You were a Labour MP in what you might regard as the golden years, I suppose, given what's going on now. Yeah. Do you think it's a reshaping of the sort of electoral college, if you like, or is it just a bit of a blip?
Well, I've seen, you know, blips before when we had the SDP way back. I'm hoping it's more than that. Yeah. I really do think we need a huge shake-up in politics. And, you know, you talk to anyone these days, and even sort of active members of either the Conservative Party or the Labour Party, and they are just so dispirited and fed up. And, you know, I do believe that there's a desire out there. People are fed up with politicians generally, fed up with politics. And there's a desire for something that's kind of new and shows that they know what they're doing or what they want to do. And I suppose that's where the Greens have come, you know, over with their new leader recently. But of course, I think they're going to lose. I think the Greens are going to lose a lot of their, what I would call the traditional support, say, you know, even in areas like this. You know, there used to be a Green vote because they were very, very, very keen on the environment. Right. And that's now kind of gone
they
from
don't
the
really
Green.
talk about the environment much, do they? I mean, the only green thing about them is the Hamas bandana that they wear, you know, which is not what I thought they had in mind. But I mean, the thing that's really I find most puzzling. I mean, I can see reform and the success that Nigel Farage is having. He's a very charismatic man. He's a very clever guy. He's got some very clever people around him. But Zach Polanski, I mean, he does not strike you, does he, as somebody who knows what he's doing or who has even an inkling of a sort of proper policy basket, if you like, of lots of different ideas.
Well, he certainly wouldn't be my choice for a lunch date or anything like that.
No.
He doesn't come across to me as anyone who's got sort of any kind of charm or appeal. But he obviously is appealing to that sort of younger element.
The younger people seem to like him, yeah.
But then, of course, you know, Nigel has a growing, Nigel Farage has a growing younger group as well.
Yeah.
I think the Greens has been, you know, they've specifically picked on this whole identity politics thing of getting the Muslim vote. And in that particular constituency, it will be interesting to see. I mean, there's likely to be another by-election fairly soon in that seat down, what was Jacob Rees-Mogg's
in Somerset,
seat.
Yeah.
And that,
I mean, I'm assuming that will have a different dynamic there, because it's not exactly a Muslim
And, you know, I got
stronghold,
elected in a by-election. By-elections are very different, and people use them to say all sorts of things to political parties. So I don't think we should assume that Green surge will last. I think what is more interesting is whether Reform can keep their very, very top position at the moment, and whether that will begin to, drain away. But Labour's not, yesterday's budget and everything, the statement is not doing anything, and Labour is not. I have never genuinely, times particularly London taxis, you always got, them having a go about politicians, but I have never in my years of being involved in politics seen such a genuine kind of hatred is probably the wrong word for Keir Starmer.
It is kind of visceral, though, isn't it? I mean, and it's almost as though he's upset
instant.
pretty much
out,
everyone. There isn't. Yeah, I mean, aside from the kind of obvious, slavishly, apparatchik-like people in Downing Street and various different MPs who kind of stick up for him, there isn't anyone that's got a good word to say about him because the events of the last few days illustrates
it's
it well.
It's embarrassing.
I think. I mean he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, we talked to Nigel Evans earlier. I mean, what are his defence advisors telling him? How on earth does he manage to arrive at a situation where, first of all, a British base gets attacked by an Iranian drone at the weekend, and the Labour government's excuse is, oh well, they probably did it by accident. They probably weren't really targeting us. And you go, I mean, you're now bending over so far backwards to make it look as if, you don't want to upset the Iranians, that it looks ludicrous. Then they decide to send a ship 4 days later, which will take another 4 days to get there.
It's embarrassing, actually, to see our Prime Minister so feeble on the world stage. Whatever your position is on it, somehow he hasn't handled it even strongly in the other direction. He's kind of just been wishy-washy, and then you see other countries that don't have the historic sort of military presence and so on that we have, like Australia and Canada, who are not seen as raving right-wing countries, and they coming out much sooner and very much more quickly. And then you see Trump last night with the German. Head of Germany sitting having a cosy chat while we're kind of being
and saying we're not dealing with Winston Churchill. It is. I mean, I said this months ago before. I mean, because with every kind of week that passes, you think it can't get any worse, and then it does.
I agree.
I said months ago that it's kind of embarrassing now to be British, to be represented by this man Keir Starmer, who seems to parade around the world with his chest puffed up, hugging men and saying, we're a coalition of the willing and all this, and not really achieving anything at all.
No,
he hasn't achieved anything.
He obviously decided early on that he saw his kind of long-term image and legacy to be foreign affairs. I mean, he's been travelling an awful lot, far more than any new Prime Minister coming in has done in the last year or so. But it's completely failed.
But to no avail. I mean, he hasn't really done anything. He hasn't improved a lot of the Ukrainians, which he says he wants to do. He hasn't really given Britain a safe, border. We have now more. I think 2,200 is the number we've been told today that have arrived here since January. It could be more coming this year. We can't protect our own streets. Crime is rampant, even though Sadiq Khan keeps telling us it's going down. There's nothing good going on, is there?
Well, I think no, and I think the thing that is, I suppose, upsets me most because my views. I'm very pro-British, being from Northern Ireland, and I find the whole. It's sad that that there is so much. Gloom and doom, but there's also, I don't like to see our country being attacked, and I don't like people thinking, our country's finished, we'll never do, because it doesn't have to be like that. It really doesn't have to be like that, and I don't want to be in a position where I'm always having a go at our country.
No, sure. And there's lots of things that Britain is great at still, and there's lots of great things about Britain. But none of that has anything to do with Keir Starmer.
None of it, and he doesn't even try to show any kind of patriotism at all. Really.
No. In fact, he clearly makes him feel a bit unwell. He's not happy when. I mean, funnily enough, I don't know whether you saw this from last night. Have we got him speaking at the iftar, Pooch? Because I think we were going to.
Oh, that was in.
But in Westminster Hall last night, there was an iftar. Right now.
Yeah.
It's only relatively recently I discovered what iftar was. It's a sort of a gathering of Muslim communities in one place to kind of celebrate Ramadan or whatever it is. And they've done one. They did one at Manchester United the other day, funnily enough. which struck me as a bit weird. But Starmer, in this clip, if we can get it, looks about as comfortable as I've ever seen him, which is slightly worrying because when he's with
he's always
people,
looking quite scared.
Yeah, he looks kind of terrified when he's ever in a place with ordinary people because he's worried what they're going to ask him or what he's going to have to say to them. But he goes to this, it's essentially Muslim gathering, and he appears to be very much at home there. Did you say we got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look.
But on Iran, I want to make clear the UK was not involved in the offensive strikes of the US and Israel, and that remains the case.
Yeah.
He says, I want to make it clear that the UK was not involved in the attacks.
Oh, he keeps repeating
Why
that,
does he
doesn't he?
keep
I mean,
saying
I think we've all picked
I think we
that
know
up by
that now. Sorry, Keir, just one question. Were we involved at all in the, the attacks? We know that we weren't, but why does he keep repeating it as if he's obsessed with sort of pushing this? And the Labour government seems to be doing a lot of this. They come out like Rachel Reeves yesterday to say that, we're turning a corner, the economy is improving, you're going to have more money. No, we're not. No, it isn't. It's all actual rubbish that they're talking.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think anyone, especially, her whole speech yesterday was as if there was nothing happening in the world, really, wasn't it? I mean, when we look at what's the current situation and the oil prices, and then, it wouldn't have been great if they'd come out and said, look, we realise now we've made a mistake about the North Sea oil.
Yeah.
We really should be continuing now. We've seen the work, we've been warned, but we didn't listen, and now we're going to go back. But the idea that we're not taking what we've got of our own natural resources or our own resources. It's just shocking.
Somebody sent me a tweet the other day. Said, if only we were sitting on a sort of a patch of land that was mineral rich with oil and gas, we'd be all right.
Yeah.
And of course we are. And instead of actually digging for it and drilling for it, we're taking it from Norway, who are literally next door, and buying it.
Buying it back. It's just, I think that is beginning to really, people beginning to understand that now because we've been pushing it. But we're in a situation where I think, politics is in a mess. Even in the Commons and in the Lords, it's all a bit depressing. We've just gone through a couple of bills recently, and in the Lords, and it's very depressing because even the Conservatives aren't sort of fighting back. I think the way they could be. Yeah.
Well, Baroness Fox is also here, your colleague. I don't know if we're going to try and do a double Baroness slot or something like that. But let me ask you about the Chagos Islands, because that's another thing that, again, up until this weekend, was a massive story. Lord Kempsell, who we had on last week, actually, has been very good on this. It looks to me as though it's not going to go through now, doesn't it? What do you think?
I'm hoping. I mean, obviously Trump has changed his mind various times. What I do not understand is, the Americans have a base on Diego Garcia, and how we could not have allowed them then, whether you agreed with their strike or not, to use the base on Diego Garcia, when that's been the whole kind of reason for the government pushing that we've got to protect it.
That Trump even accepted the fact that we could say no.
I think he was very badly briefed early on, and he didn't take a huge amount of interest in it because there were so many other things. I think he's now been engaged. There's been a lot of work done by Chagos supporters and politicians here to get influence through into the White House. But he does need, in order for it to be stopped, he does need to come out really strongly and actually say, this will not happen. I am not allowing this to happen.
Yes.